I went to bed last night. I was 25. I woke up this morning, 41. Time flies, y'all. Time flies. And I think the more that we distract ourselves and we get caught up in all this stuff going on around us every single day, we get caught up, I would say, in modern society, modern culture, the rat race, the 9 to 5, the hustle culture, the social media, and all this stuff. You know, I don't need to explain it all, but as we get caught up in all this stuff, all the distractions, all the stuff that is pulling away our attention and our energy, time's going to continue to speed up. It seems like the deeper we go with this, the faster time goes, and it's almost absurd at this point how fast time's going. 2025, it came and went. You know, Thanksgiving was here before you knew it, and then Christmas came and went, and then the New Year, and it didn't seem like any of this stuff should have came when it did. It seemed like the summer was like the blink of an eye. And, you know, I think this is a really bad thing because, like I mentioned, as this continues, as time continues to speed up, we're essentially wasting more of our lives. Not really wasting our lives, but we're losing more of our lives. If you've ever been driving on like a long trip and you just get in autopilot, you're just cruising along, and you know, maybe it's like 20-30 minute drive or something like that. You leave the place you're at, and then you arrive home and you're like, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember the entire drive home. And then you look back and you think back at the drive, you're like, did I run any red lights? Did I cut anybody off? Because I really don't remember anything. You know, somebody who drove back and forth to work an hour one way for almost 2 decades, I can tell you that there were many, many days where I experienced that, where it was just a loss of time. And an hour seems like a lot of time for some people, but for me, since I did it so often and I was used to it, it seemed like nothing. But there were a lot of days where it was like an autopilot moment where I would leave my work and then I would get home and I think back like, I don't remember that drive. And I know like consciously or subconsciously I was driving, I was going through the motions. I'm sure I wasn't running red lights and I wasn't cutting people off. But it's that loss of time. It's like your brain just cuts that time out and it only focuses on the stuff that's important. And when you're doing these things and you're going through the motions of day-to-day life and you just run on autopilot, you lose parts of your life, not just parts of your day, not just hours and minutes, you lose parts of your life. I'm talking these things compound and you end up losing years of your life. And, you know, there was a profound moment in my life, and I think a lot of us will experience this, especially as people get older. You will experience profound moments in your life where you'll look back at your life and you'll realize that there was a lot of your life that was wasted. There was a lot of your life that was lost. There were a lot of things that you probably wanted to do in life that you didn't get to do. There were a lot of experiences that you wanted to experience that you didn't get to experience. There were probably a lot of people you wanted to meet that you didn't get the chance to. There is going to come a point in all of our lives where we're going to look back at our lives and we're going to see these things. And hindsight's going to be 20/20, and it's going to become crystal clear. But there was a time in my life where I had one of these profound moments, and it was years ago. It was back when I was 34, in 2017. I 100% had one of these profound moments in my life, and it allowed me to realize what in life is actually important. And it also allowed me to realize that I was wasting parts of my life. I was essentially wasting years of my life. And I had that moment to look back at my life and reflect and see exactly what I was doing wrong. And from that moment on, once I saw that, there was no going back. It's one of those moments that just changes your perspective on how you view the world. And that moment for me was getting extremely ill, because back in 2017, my health was destroyed, and it was destroyed almost overnight. I went from being what I would consider pretty healthy. I lifted weights, I weight trained, I kind of did bodybuilding and powerlifting, and I thought I was healthy. I ate clean most of the time. I did have cheat meals and stuff like that on the weekends, but for the most part, I was eating a bodybuilding diet, which is mostly healthy food. It was clean foods. It was things like chicken breast and whole grains and leafy greens and all the stuff we're told to eat. But even though I was doing all this healthy stuff and I thought I was living my life the right way, my health ended up spiraling completely out of control. And not was it just spiraling out of control, I was sick for over a year. And I'm talking sick, like on the brink of death. I ended up developing a very serious heart condition, supraventricular tachycardia, which if it continues because of the underlying condition I had, it would have essentially ended my life. And every single day throughout that almost entire year, I thought my life was ending. It was absolute hell. If you could just imagine every single day you feeling your heartbeat, and not just feeling it beat, but like you're running a marathon, like it's beating out of your chest, even when you're trying to sleep, and even when you are sleeping. Beating so hard that it wakes you up at night. Not being able to walk up a flight of stairs because you literally feel like you're going to have a heart attack. 24/7 heart palpitations, 24/7 irregular heartbeats, and you feeling all of it because your heart is just struggling. And any second, you pretty much believe that at some point you're going to have a heart attack, and that's going to be it. And that is what I dealt with every single day, every second of every day, for almost a year straight. And it was a nightmare. But through that experience, I had a lot of time to reflect on my life. I look back on the life that I'd lived up to that point, the 33 going into 34 years of my life that I experienced, and I realized I had a lot of regrets. There were a lot of things in life I wanted to do. There were a lot of risks I wanted to take, a lot of chances I wanted to take that I was never going to take. And up to that point, I had never taken the time to stop and think about that kind of stuff. Because like most people, I lived like there was always going to be a tomorrow. Like I could just keep kicking the can down the road, and it didn't matter because at some point in my life, I was going to get to do all the things that I'd been putting off. But when you face that moment, and you're basically staring down at a 6-foot hole in the dirt, and you realize that your time here is limited, and we are here for a very finite amount of time, and time is very fleeting, it really puts things into perspective. And it allowed me to realize that tomorrow is not always going to come. And for a lot of us, it may not come a lot sooner than we realize. And now I think in our modern world, with time just flying by, that is especially true. Because at some point in our lives, probably sooner than later, we may never wake up. We may never get the chance to go after all the things in life we've been putting off. All the risks we thought we were going to take and all the things we were going to do, we may not get the chance to do these things. And for me, just like a lot of people, I had the idea that, one day after this milestone, I'll do this thing. And one day when I retire, I'll go out and I'll chase my dreams. When I have all the time in the world and I have all this money and I've gotten the promotions and I've got everything I want out of life, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do the stuff in life that I actually want to do, stuff outside of work. That's when I'm going to get to enjoy life and enjoy life on my terms. But there have been countless examples throughout my life, including my own experience, where that time simply doesn't come. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with over the years that were lifetime career people. They worked in the same industry I was in for their entire lives. And I would talk to these people about how they were wanting to get out and they were wanting to retire. And man, when I get out and I retire, I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to do this, this, and this. I've got all these places I'm going to see. I'm going to travel with my partner, my wife, my husband. I'm going to do all this stuff that I've been putting off my entire life. And they would be so excited about it. And they would just be a few months out from getting ready to retire. And next thing you know, they passed away. Or their spouse would get sick. And all that money that they had accumulated all of a sudden goes into health care for their spouse. Or like I said, they would pass away and all those dreams never became realized. And that's a crying shame. And you think about all the people in our lives, how many people actually experience that? I would say it's a lot. And for a lot of people, like I said, it takes a profound moment in your life to see these things. But the reason I'm sharing this right now is because I don't want your profound moment to be when you're 60, 70 years old, to look back at your life and realize that, man, I should have done the things in life I wanted to do a lot sooner. I shouldn't have waited to take that risk. I should have went and saw the things in life I wanted to see. I should have talked to that person. I should have taken that risk. I should have done the thing. And that's the main point here, is that society is kind of set up in a way that it makes you believe that you should forego your dreams. Like the things in life that society tells us are more important than what we actually want to get out of life. And those are the things we should pursue. It's the money, it's the promotion, it's climbing the corporate ladder. But when you've had these realizations, you might realize, like I did, that when you climb that corporate ladder, you find out it's leaning on the wrong wall. And what do you do after that? It took you 20, 30 years to climb that ladder. You don't have 20 or 30 years left to turn around and climb that ladder back down the other direction and start over. All that time is gone. And these are the milestones that we believe we have to accomplish before we go after the things in life that we want. We believe we have to get the promotion, but when you get that promotion, there's always another promotion. When you get that money, there's always more money. There's always the pursuit of something. And there's always something that's going to make you put your dreams on the back burner. The things that you want to get out of life never come first. And that's a big problem. It becomes a perpetual state of you never being satisfied. That itch can never be scratched. And there's always going to be that next thing that's standing between you and your dreams, that's standing between you and the life that you want. And then before you know it, you go to bed one night, you wake up the next morning, and you're 70 or 80 years old. And you're left scratching your head wondering, what did I do with all my time? Where did all that time go? And why did I waste all that time? At that point, you finally stop and take the time to look back at your life, and you can't even remember the last 20 or 30 years. You were on that proverbial long drive home from work, and you can't remember if you stopped at all the stop signs and the red lights. You can't remember if you cut anybody off along the way. You can't remember half the drive home. But once you're home, once you've reached that point, there's no going back. The things that you did throughout that journey home, they're done. There are no do-overs. And I can tell you from experience that when you're looking back at your life and you're thinking about all the things that you wish you did, it's not that you wish you worked more. It's not that you wish you had more money. It's not that you wish you had the promotion and that you made a name for yourself. You're going to realize that the things in life that you thought were important weren't important at all. And the things that were important were the things that you can't put a dollar amount on. Maybe it was spending more time with the people you loved. Maybe it was taking those risks. Maybe it was going after the things in life that were truly going to make you happy, the things that deep down you desired, but you put off because we're told to, because we're told other things are more important than that. Like me, you might find that the things in life that are more important are just experiencing the world around you, seeing the sights, getting out in nature and enjoying the natural beauty of the world, taking the time to soak it all in and just be present in the moment. Because the fact of the matter is, there is a beautiful and an amazing world out there that most of us neglect. And we neglect it because of exactly what we're talking about here. We get so caught up in modern society and all this noise that we don't take the time to stop and just soak it all in. And as the noise becomes louder and as the days become shorter, I truly believe that this is going to become increasingly more important that we do this. And I think a lot of people are actually starting to realize this because there seems to be a mass awakening that's kind of happening. And I believe the reason for that is because a lot of people are actually being pushed to their breaking point. For a lot of people, it might feel like the end. And I've actually heard people talking about that. And when you're pushed to your limits and you feel like time is running out, that is kind of a way of forcing you into taking the time to reflect and look back at your life and discover the things in life that are important. And on the surface, us being forced into this position might seem like kind of a bad thing. But if that is the thing that allows people to stop and reflect back on their lives and to realize what in life is actually important, to stop kicking the can down the road and pretending that tomorrow is always going to be there, maybe that's a silver lining. Maybe that is exactly what we need. Maybe that is going to be the thing that ensures that we don't get stuck in autopilot and miss experiencing the present and being present in the moment and missing out on what could be the best parts of our life.